The gym smelled of rubber mats, sweat and quiet arrogance, the kind that clung to walls where trophies gleamed and mirrors, reflected bodies sculpted by discipline and ego, and every evening at exactly 6, the place filled with the same rhythm, grunts, slaps of bare feet on canvas, the sharp crack of fists on pads, and the low hum of admiration that followed Victor Hale, the gym's undefeated black belt, a man whose reputation entered the room before he did, tall, broad-shouldered, calm in the way only people who know they can hurt you tend to be, and as students paused mid-drill to watch him pass, Victor nodded without looking, used to reverence, used to silence bending around him like gravity. At the far end of the gym, nearly invisible, Mrs. Elena Cruz pushed a yellow mop bucket along the floor, her gray hair tied in a neat bun, her uniform 2 sizes too big, her hands rough and steady, her eyes lowered not in fear but habit, because when you clean places like this long enough, you learn how to exist without being seen, and for months she had come after sunset, wiping mirrors, scrubbing sweat stains, picking up tape and forgotten gloves, while conversations flowed over her like water over stone, no one asking her name, no one wondering why she moved with such balance or why her posture never slouched even after 10 hours on her feet. That evening, Victor's students crowded around him, laughing louder than usual, their energy buzzing because Victor had just returned from another tournament win, another gold medal added to the shelf, and someone, no one would later admit who, made a joke about how unbeatable Victor was, how he could probably fight anyone in the building and win, even the cleaning lady, and laughter exploded, careless and sharp, and Victor smiled, not cruelly at first, just amused, the way men smile when the world keeps confirming what they already believe about themselves. And he glanced toward Elena, who was kneeling to wipe chalk from the floor, and without thinking, without imagining consequences, he said, "Hey, senora," his tone playful. "You want to spar?" And the gym roared, students nudging each other, phones already half raised, hungry for a viral moment, and Elena looked up slowly, her eyes dark and calm, taking in the circle of faces, the smirks, the casual disrespect dressed up as humor, and she said nothing at first, returning to her cleaning, which only made the laughter louder, because silence was taken as submission, and Victor, feeling the attention, stepped closer, clapped his hands once, and said, "Come on, it's just a joke. We'll go easy. I'll even let you pick the rules." And something in his voice shifted. Not malice, but entitlement, while the coach at the desk glanced over, hesitated, then looked away, unwilling to interrupt Victor's spotlight, and Elena finally stood slowly, wiping her hands on her apron. And for the first time, people really looked at her, noticing how she stood square, how her shoulders were relaxed but ready, how her breathing was measured, and she asked quietly, "With gloves?" And the room stilled just a little, because that wasn't the answer they expected. And Victor laughed again, louder this time, clapping a student on the back. "See, she's got spirit." And he tossed her a pair of spare gloves, old and cracked, assuming the story would end with him playfully tapping her down. Another anecdote to polish his legend. Elena slipped the gloves on with practiced ease, tightening the straps herself, and someone joked that she probably learned from YouTube. And Victor stepped onto the mat, bowing casually, while Elena stepped opposite him, bowing deeper, respectful, formal, and that bow, sharp, precise, was the first real warning, though no one recognized it yet. The coach finally looked up, uneasy now, but before he could speak, Victor waved him off, assuring everyone this was harmless. Entertainment and the circle tightened, phones rose higher, comments whispered about age and gender and how quick this would be, and when the bell rang, because someone rang it, laughing, the air changed. Victor advanced lightly, hands loose, testing, planning to toy with her, to show control, but Elena didn't retreat the way beginners do. She angled, her footwork subtle, conserving movement, and Victor threw a lazy jab, meant to miss, meant to scare, and Elena slipped it by a hair's breadth, her head moving before his fist fully extended, and the gym went quiet enough to hear breath catch because that wasn't luck, and Victor blinked, surprised, throwing another jab, sharper, and again she moved, not panicked, not rushed, and suddenly Victor smiled thinner, ego pricked, deciding to end it, and he stepped in with a combination, faster now, the sound of gloves snapping through air, and Elena blocked, redirected, absorbed, her forearms turning just so, her balance never breaking. And murmurs rippled through the crowd, phones shaking as hands trembled, and Victor felt it then, the unfamiliar sensation of effort, his breathing deepening, his strikes meeting resistance that didn't crumble, and when he overcommitted on a hook, Elena stepped inside his range, close enough for him to smell soap and disinfectant, and she tapped his ribs once, lightly, controlled but exactly where it hurt, and Victor gasped, not from pain but from shock, because she could have hit harder, and she chose not to, and the laughter was gone now, replaced by stunned silence, and Elena stepped back, resetting, giving him space, a courtesy, and Victor's face flushed, the weight of watching eyes pressing down. His identity as the unbeatable black belt suddenly fragile, and he attacked again, no longer joking, power rising, technique sharpening, and Elena met him strike for strike, not matching force but timing, her movements efficient, economical, decades honed, and when Victor tried to sweep her, she hopped just enough to avoid it, countering with a touch to his shoulder that spun him, slightly offline, and someone dropped a phone, the clatter echoing like punctuation, and Victor's mind raced, anger flaring because this wasn't supposed to happen, because jokes weren't supposed to bite back. And as he pressed forward, breathing harder, Elena spoke for the first time since the bell. Her voice calm, almost kind. Slow down. You'll hurt yourself, and that sentence, gentle, maternal, landed harder than any punch, and Victor froze for half a second, just long enough for her to demonstrate control, stepping past him, placing a hand on his back, guiding him forward, not throwing him, just showing that she could, and the gym felt like it was holding its breath. The mirrors reflecting disbelief, and Victor stepped away, hands lowering, chest heaving, staring at Elena as if seeing her for the first time, the realization dawning that this woman he'd reduced to a punchline carried something deeper than belts or trophies, something earned in silence. And the bell rang again, this time deliberately, ending the round. And no one cheered, no one laughed. The room filled instead with the heavy quiet of humbled certainty, and Elena removed her gloves, placing them neatly on the mat, nodding once to Victor, and turning back toward her mop bucket, as if this interruption had been nothing more than a brief delay in her work, while Victor stood rooted. His world shifted, the joke evaporated, replaced by a question he couldn't yet answer. Who was she really? If this story has you hooked so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what happens next doesn't just shock the gym, it changes everything.